Damon, after you're done doing all of those graphics, I need you to also handle Cardinals, Suns, and the Rising stuff as well. We're a little undermanned around here.
Sounds like a Tuesday. Sounds like a Wednesday.
Sounds like the Diamondbacks bullpen. We're talking about the Diamondbacks not being able to hold on to any kind of close lead and why. It's basically comes down to their, roster. So we're talking about this in 30 seconds. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, ski to you all, even though the ski is not needed here. Remember, kids, that the bullpen is so bad. The bullpen is so bad. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. Glad to have you guys here after another disappointing loss by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Quite frankly, a game that they should have won, where they did an excellent job for 7 out of the 9 innings, but unfortunately couldn't quite hold on to a 1-run lead late. The bullpen, once again, just does not have the personnel to get the job done, and the Diamondbacks lose by a score of 3-2 to the San Diego Padres. They lose 2 out of 3 in the series to San Diego as well. Welcome in to the show, you guys. Of course, this show is brought to you by our friends at Bet365 and Game Time. Go use that code of PHNX365 when you download the Bet365 app. You'll get yourself some bonus bets for following some easy steps. Then over at Game Time, use our code of PHNX. You'll get $20 off your first ticket purchase. And I'm not going to do this alone, and Damon just refuses to even talk about this team or this game anymore. So we got our guy, Jesse Friedman from Snakes Territory here to break down exactly why the Diamondbacks just don't have the roster essentially to win games like this, and asking they asked a lot from Anthony DeSclafani tonight. He gave them a lot. He gave them a good outing, Jesse, but unfortunately the bullpen can't hold things late. A bullpen that has been taxed, a bullpen that is undermanned, and quite frankly outgunned in this series with the Padres that have the best bullpen in baseball. And unfortunately, once again, they lose a game that they had a late lead in and lose the series to the Padres.
Derek, I am very curious if we had the opportunity to go into a time machine back to the middle of March, and I were to show you what the Diamondbacks bullpen roster looked like on August 6th and got your reaction.
No.
I would be fascinated. I don't think you would have believed it. I think you would have looked at Jake Woodford and John Curtis and Casey Kelly and the rest of this cast of characters.
Don't you besmirch John Curtis's name.
And wondered how on earth any of this was possible. And
I would have said, who are these guys? What is this list? This must be a mistake, Jesse. What you gave me cannot be the actual roster, because that's where we're at with the Arizona Diamondbacks this year. And of course, again, I'm not going to let you ever talk poorly about John Curtis, because he's always here. He's always watching, and we're going to make his king snake again, and his head's going to be even bigger than it was in the last one. But Jesse, Diamondbacks now are 54-61, and they manage only to get 4 hits tonight against Nestor Cortez and the Padres bullpen. We had originally had information that Nick Pivetta was supposed to start tonight, which would have even been worse. But when you saw Nestor Cortez, we already wrote this one off as a loss with Anthony DeSclafani starting in this one. But he had a great outing. He gave the Diamondbacks exactly what they needed. At least he gave them a chance to win. But unfortunately, the offense goes really cold here once again against Nestor Cortez and the Padres bullpen. And pretty much Corbin Carroll is it. I mean, there were contributions a little bit from other players, but Corbin Carroll did hit his 23rd home run of the season in the first inning. It was a monster solo shot, 443 feet to center field, 110 mile per hour exit velo. Jesse, Bert did not have the energy tonight to really call that home run on the home broadcast. We needed more out of him because that was a huge home run. But it's like he knew what was coming. He was like he knew no matter how much of a lead the Diamondbacks had, that this was the inevitability here at the end. But Corbin, again, having a big year with the power, but just not much else offense, much offense outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, the Diamondbacks started the game 3 for 5, including that home run by Corbin Carroll, and then they had one hit the rest of the way. The bullpen, is probably gonna get most of the headlines in a game like this. Obviously, the Padres bullpen is outstanding, and so the contrast between what they have and what the Diamondbacks have is certainly striking. But
For sure.
I think the offense is a pretty big part of the story for sure, Derek. I mean, this offense
Yes.
really did next to nothing after those first couple of innings, and they also didn't have a hit with the runner in scoring position for the second consecutive day, and it's really hard to win games like that.
It's not only hard, it's disgusting, Jesse. 0 for 17 with runners in scoring position in their last 2 games now. And yeah, like you said, we had a leadoff single in the second inning there from Tyler Locklear. Then 2 players get hit by pitches. Blaze Alexander and James McCann both get hit by pitches. I was ready to go down there and fight someone. I'm sick of watching Diamondbacks players get hit by pitches, especially as much as the fans are. But Jesse, would you believe it? In case you're wondering, the Diamondbacks do not have the most players that have been hit by pitches this season. In fact, they're not even in the top 5. The Diamondbacks have been hit by pitches 55 times this season, which is good for 7th most in Major League Baseball. So no matter what we think is like an epidemic with opposing batters hitting our players, it's happening all around Major League Baseball apparently, because the Diamondbacks are almost league average at getting hit. It's very few less than they'd be right around league average.
I wonder where they rank though in like times that a trainer has had to respond to a hit by pitch, because some hit by pitches are completely harmless, and it feels like the D-backs have not had all that many of those this year.
No, they're always like in the finger or in the wrist or some sort of broken bone or something like that. And that's what's the case here, right? I think James McCann got hit in the pinky, and it looked like there might have been maybe he might have left the game, but he stayed in there. Alec Thomas hits a sac fly that would score Locklear, and outside of that would hit. The Diamondbacks would not get another run out of that situation where they had the bases loaded. There's one missed opportunity. Then in the 5th inning, Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll hilariously walked. Ketel Marte's was an actual walk. Corbin Carroll's was not. But they walked with 2 outs to get 2 men on. That would end Nestor Cortez's night. The bullpen for the Padres, we know, is excellent, best in Major League Baseball. Perdomo would strike out without bringing in a runner, and there's your other missed opportunity. But the Diamondbacks didn't have many of those tonight. So, the few that they had were kind of squandered away, and after the early runs scored, the Diamondbacks weren't able to put much together. And again, I think you and I have had discussions about this with last year's team. The offense, great numbers, one of the best in baseball. You just know it's not sustainable. And much like last year, when you look at the pitching staff and where their numbers rank this year, they're even worse than they were last year, right? But when you look at the numbers and where they're ranked, no matter how good your offense is, you can't feel like a team has sustainable success when the offense is carrying the load, especially when you see them go on a night like this where they only put up 4 hits.
And this is definitely a pretty different offense than what the Diamondbacks had a couple of weeks ago, right? I mean, without Eugenio Suarez and without Josh Naylor, you're getting to see Blaze Alexander play a lot. You're getting to see Tyler Locklear play a lot. I think those are good things for the future as the Diamondbacks try to evaluate those guys and see what they have. But, this is not the same group that has been top 5 in runs most of the season. So you're certainly not expecting the same types of results. And it's just the reality of the situation here, Derek. I think this version of the Diamondbacks offense is probably around league average. And lately it's been probably worse than that because Ketel Marte has not produced a whole lot here in the last month. Corbin Carroll, as you said earlier, has kind of cooled off as well. And so without those 2 guys really at their best, there aren't really any other hitters in this lineup that strike a whole lot of fear in the opposing team.
One thing that bothered me that they talked about on the broadcast was that at least it appeared to them like the Diamondbacks were trying to manufacture more runs. And they discussed, not having the sluggers in their lineup that they've had all year. Gino, Josh Naylor, obviously Randall Grichuk. But that kind of bothered me because I feel like if you're talking about this team getting away from that kind of small ball mentality of getting on base, creating chaos on the base path, handing the baton off to the next, player, to your teammate, then that's what I think some of us and most of us actually have considered to be Diamondbacks baseball, right? So if you're saying that now they're resorting to that form of baseball because they don't have guys like Naylor and Gino any longer, I find that to be kind of ridiculous. And I mean, the Diamondbacks offense has been fine all season long, right? They've been a top 5 offense all year. So it's not like they need much more offense. It's mostly been about how bad, the pitching has been. But at the same time, there's been lots of games where they've kind of gone quiet like this, that if the offense is quiet, why aren't we trying to play that same form of baseball that brought us so much success in the past? Why aren't we manufacturing runs and trying our best to hand the baton off to the next guy and kind of play a little bit smaller version of baseball? It might not be true, right? Like it might have just been the broadcast observation and them saying it when in fact they've not really changed their approach. But if they're noticing it, especially after the trade deadline, then most likely that's what the kind of, coaching, the idea there behind the team offensively is. And again, I'm just like that probably shouldn't have ever changed with this team and the way that they are comprised.
Yeah, I think that's been a hot topic lately. A lot of people wanting to see the D-backs get back to the create chaos version of themselves that we saw a couple years ago.
Sure.
I'm a little torn on it, to be honest, Derek, because I just feel like the players that brought that version of the team to life are just not really in the I mean, some of them are still in the picture, right? Corbin Carroll is obviously still here, but Corbin Carroll had one hit today, Derek, and it went over the fence. And
Yeah.
how many times have we said that this season? He just is not hitting nearly as many singles this
Right.
year, and
Right.
naturally there just aren't going to be as many stolen base opportunities for him. And outside of Corbin Carroll, I don't know if I see another player on the roster who really has a track record of like, yes, that player should be aggressive stealing bases. Alec Thomas has speed, but he's never really had a whole lot of success as a base runner. Jake McCarthy, I guess, would be the other name that comes to mind here. He certainly has had success stealing bases in the past,
Absolutely.
but Jake McCarthy is just not getting on base a whole lot right now. So it's hard for me to really point the finger at the coaching or the team not being aggressive enough. I think the team is doing reasonably well in that regard with what they have to work with. It just is a different roster than the team had a couple of years ago when that was really at the center of what they did.
Well, and like you said, Corbin really has not been getting on base. He has not been the same player that he was because the power is great. However, you do feel like Corbin getting on base more often and causing the chaos that he was able to cause with his speed was more exhausting to an opposition rather than him just going out there, hitting one solo dinger and then being fairly quiet offensively for the rest of the night. But I know who shouldn't be out there trying to cause chaos, Jesse, and that's James McCann. He needs to be back there behind home plate, helping pitchers be better and not trying to steal bases like he was thrown out, trying to steal third. Or I guess not really stealing, but trying to advance on a flyout, which he had no business. Most guys weren't going to reach third base on that flyout, let alone James McCann. But he did make an incredible defensive play there with Geraldo Perdomo there in the, what was that? That was I forget what inning that was, but runners on the corners and 2 outs. James McCann attempted to get, I believe it was Jose Iglesias stealing second. Perdomo didn't even make the attempt to get him. Instead, he came home because Cronenworth came home on like a double steal, and they got Cronenworth at home plate. It was a great play, and at the time kept the Padres off the board on the 2-6-2 putout at home plate. And then we had Blaze Alexander in the 8th inning, who both made multiple mistakes and then made an excellent play to kind of make up for his mistakes and still did everything he could. But a huge inning for Blaze there. He basically became the main character of the 8th inning with every ball being hit at him, everything being, either a mistake or, as we saw when he made the second out of the inning, the diving play to touch the bag and to get the out after the review. A lot of maturation going on with Blaze Alexander over there at third base very quickly so far this season.
That was Blaze's defense in a nutshell, right? You just got a big old dose of it in one inning. Yeah, there were a couple of misplays from him in that frame, and yet, as you mentioned, also a really, really nice play on a squib shot up the third baseline by Jackson Merrill. So, and there in Blaze's defense, there's been a lot less mistakes for him this year.
Yes.
We've seen a lot more of Blaze being sharp on defense than we have what we saw in a couple different plays in that eighth inning where things didn't look so great. It looked like he was maybe going to basically allow the Padres to score a run just because of his defense, but he was able to redeem himself, and that's been a trend for him throughout the season.
You're right, and that's exactly what he can do. He also walked there late in the ninth inning, in the bottom of the ninth inning, gave the Diamondbacks a chance to get the winning run home. Unfortunately, they were not able to do so. Not a lot of offense from this one. We almost covered all of it. Corbin Carroll 1 for 3 tonight with a home run. He is our king snake because honestly, nobody else really deserved it. Maybe Anthony DeSclafani, especially after the way that we went in on him on his last start, because he was very good for the Diamondbacks tonight. But Corbin, home run number 23. Can't say enough about his power this year. It just really feels like it's kind of being wasted. It feels like a lot of his home runs are solo home runs, like Ketel. Ketel seems to not be very good with runners in scoring position or men on base, but when they're not, he's excellent, right? So you also had Perdomo going 1 for 4 tonight. Locklear 1 for 3 with a walk himself. He also scored a run. And then James McCann was 1 for 2. That's it. Not a lot here, Jesse, tonight. So the Diamondbacks, again, come up short, and a lot of it is the offense. The offense. You hold the Padres to 3 runs, and you kind of expect to have a chance to win a game like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's odd to say, but I guess on the whole, it was a fairly well-pitched game by the Diamondbacks. I mean, this Padres offense at this point, given all the moves that A.J. Preller made at the deadline, I know you and I haven't talked about that yet, Derek. Holy cow, A.J. Preller went full A.J. Preller last week.
Yeah. Just went nuclear on the farm system and decided to go all in on this season. And honestly, with the way that the Dodgers didn't make very many moves and the current state of the division, I thought it was a smart move for them to do what they did. I really did. And then now, but it feels like what the Padres do, Jesse, is very reactionary. You know what I mean? Even some of the moves they made. J.P. Sears gets brought in at the trade deadline. He has a terrible outing in game 1 of the series against the Diamondbacks, giving up 10 hits and 5 earned runs, and they've already sent him down to AAA, right? So like they made some. You can tell there's a sense of desperation, not only with what they gave up in order to get the pieces that they got, including Mason Miller, right, which is just a devastating move for us in the division, considering how much time he has left on his contract, how long he'll be with the Padres. It's just the division is within their reach, and they really had a chance here to solidify their position as the final wild card spot, with a lot of the teams that were close in the race kind of selling and bowing out, right? The Cardinals and the Giants basically tipped their cap and waved the white flag. So I get why they did it, because not only did they feel like they have a pretty solid chance of making the playoffs, but whether it's the division or the wild card, once they get in, if they're the hot team in baseball, anything can happen. And they definitely have the roster now, at least the pitching, to get the job done. Not sure about their offense, because you had you still have Fernando Tatis Jr. going 0 for 6 yesterday. Your team OPS is still one of the bottom 10 in baseball. So they have a lot of things still to figure out. But I know pitching wins ball games, and I think that's what makes them such a threat to actually win their first World Series this year.
I'd want no part of the Padres in the playoffs if I were a team in there, because this bullpen is absurd, Derek. I mean, there should be laws against putting an all-star relief pitcher in a game in the 5th inning, right?
I know.
I mean, that's where His name
I
is
called the
eluding
cops.
me.
They were like, stop
Uh,
calling us about baseball stuff. And I was like, I want to press charges is what I wanted to do. And they just said, I can't do that. But yeah, no, there should
Yeah,
be
it was
laws.
it was Jason Adam literally was an all-star, and he entered the game in the 5th inning to get Nestor Cortez out of a jam. And it wasn't like, oh, we're using our best reliever in the 5th inning because we think this is a big spot. This
Yeah.
is like, yeah, Jason Adams an all-star, but he's also like our 6th best reliever. So sure, put him in the 5th inning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the state of this Padres bullpen right now.
However, Jesse, the Diamondbacks almost beat them, right? And they had to kind of pull out all the stops to beat what could be said is a pretty bad Diamondbacks team. So that does make me feel like the Padres definitely have a lot of things, like I said, especially offensively, to figure out between now and the playoffs. But I agree with you. And it feels like this team could get hot at the right time. I also kind of knew that despite their ownership issues and infighting that they had, I knew from spring training that it was only going to galvanize a team like this and make them come together and play good baseball. And that's exactly what it's done for the Padres this year. But the playoffs, so interesting, but not going to include the Diamondbacks, especially now after this series loss to the Padres. We'll have more on the pitching, which, again, kind of takes the blame. I think Jesse was right. The pitching is going to take the blame. The bullpen is going to take the hit in this game. But really, it was the offense that came up short for the Diamondbacks in this loss to the Padres. But we were going to talk about the pitching on the other side of this break. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, if you love hats as much as I do, you got to check out the full collection that Branded Bills has to offer, because they have a wide variety of hats for you to choose from. U of A, ASU is part of their campus collection. They have a partnership with Phoenix Suns. They made some great hats for us, and they can make some great hats for you. If you are looking to make some gear that stands apart from the crowd, look to Branded Bills. They have you covered with all sorts of hats, including snapbacks, truckers, fitted beanies. They also have t-shirts and bags. Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. Start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. They're a local company from right here in Mesa, Arizona, and they're a bunch of fine people over there. So head to brandedbills.com and use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. That code again was BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. And speaking of some of the great companies right here in the Valley, you've heard the name, you've heard the jingle for years, but if you are looking to get some new flooring in your home, look no further than Empire Today. They are flooring experts, much like calling in Jesse to bring some legitimacy to the show with his expertise. You need to call Empire Today into your home so that they can bring their flooring experts in to help you get your flooring situation right. Not only will they bring the showroom directly to you so you can see how the new flooring will look in your home with your furniture and your lighting, but they will take precise measurements and they will answer all of your questions so there are no surprises. And with Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day because nobody likes to wait. So schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHNX. You heard me right. That's PHNX for $350 off. Restrictions do apply. Visit empiretoday.com/PHNX for full details. Well, Jesse, like I said, I threw some dirt on the good name of Anthony DeSclafani when we saw probable pitchers for this series. It was a TBD, but there was perhaps was going to be Nick Pivetta, and it ends up being Nestor Cortez. The odds increased a little bit in the Diamondbacks' favor there with with Cortez on the mound, but honestly, Disco was terrific tonight for the Diamondbacks. He gave them exactly what they needed from him. I guess he could have been a little bit more efficient and gone a little bit longer to use less bullpen arms, but you knew you were getting essentially into a bullpen game here with Anthony starting, and he gave the Diamondbacks more than you probably thought you were going to get out of him, and he did it without allowing a run.
His outings have been, it feels kind of all or nothing. Like either he goes out there and does something like this, where he puts up, 4 zeros and then the start of another 0 in the 5th inning, or it looks something like what we saw in his last outing in Sacramento, where he was just kind of a disaster. But the full body of work there, Derek, has been pretty decent. I mean, he has a 4.20 ERA This year in 30 innings, 28 strikeouts to 9 walks. Opposing hitters are batting .241 against him. I mean, all those numbers are pretty decent. The D-backs have had much bigger problems this year than what they've gotten from Anthony DeSclafani in this long reliever spot starter type role that he's been in.
Yeah, well, his changeup was really good in this outing tonight. Threw a nice mix of pitches overall, keeping batters a bit off balance. 27% of his outing was four-seamers. Threw the slider 25% of the time, and he threw the changeup 21%. He also threw the knuckle curve and the sinker 11% of the time, a couple times there. But overall, great mix of pitches. I think we have his pitch chart here available. He had 7 whiffs on the night, 3 on the changeup. A lot of people asking, why didn't he go longer? Why didn't the Diamondbacks leave him in there longer? And to be fair, he was limited on his pitch count tonight. He was supposed to only go out there and give the Diamondbacks around 60 pitches, and he gave the Snakes 71. So overall, I thought, at least in the moment, like I didn't feel comfortable with the lead, and I didn't feel great about the bullpen options considering the Diamondbacks just had the 11-inning game last night. But I do admit that when his night was over, I was surprised about what he was able to do, and I was happy with the outing. I didn't really think that the Diamondbacks were going to be able to stretch him to a 90-pitch or 100-pitch outing, and unfortunately, he's just not there, essentially, as a reliever. He hasn't been stretched out to that point yet.
Yeah, I know Torey talked about this after the game. I think his pitch limit was 70, at least is what Torey said after the game was over. DeSclafani wound up throwing 71 pitches, and Torey referenced also that DeSclafani is coming off of arm surgery. So I think that's also a factor in them kind of wanting to protect his workload as they build him up into this starter role that he's in now. So yeah, I mean, I've said it before. I don't think Torey Lovello has been perfect in 2025. I think there are plenty of issues that you can point to, but this game, I don't really know what else you were hoping for. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that it was just kind of dictated to Torey that he had to take Anthony DeSclafani out at that point in the game. And the bullpen, as we talked about earlier, was, I mean, the usage there has just been crazy lately. And Andrew Saalfrank was in a 3 out of 4 situation. Kendall Graveman was in a 3 out of 4. Right. I'm sure the D-backs wanted to stay away from those guys. Andrew Hoffman would have been back to back to back if they had gone to him tonight. So Torey's options were just very limited. And as we also said earlier, his options are not particularly good to begin with.
Right. I was shocked to see Jake Woodford out there, Jesse, after the 2 innings he pitched for this team last night. He basically had a start almost yesterday. I think he threw, 57 pitches yesterday or 47, something like that. I think
it was maybe 40, but it was a lot. And I mean, he gave up 5 runs, right? I mean, it's not exactly the kind of outing where you're expecting to come back out the next day.
Yep.
And I'm sure the D-backs didn't want to use Woodford either. But again, I mean, that's just kind of the situation that Torey was in tonight. He probably didn't want to use Casey Kelly, the guy they called up from Reno today, unless he absolutely had to. And of course he did. It was the only way to get through the inning or to get through the game. And that's just the reality of that group right now.
And speaking of that, I think right there, Pokemon card supply says Merrill Kelly is going to be pissed that we imported another Kelly from Korea, which apparently we did there. But yeah, overall, Jesse, the bullpen comprised of a lot of guys tonight. Like you said, a lot of guys that had you shown me this list, I would have called you an outright liar. Where has Jalen Beeks been? I don't know. We were questioning if he was even alive last night, but he was pretty damn good for this team tonight. He got the D-backs out of a jam in the 5th inning, thanks to that excellent defense we talked about earlier from Domo and McCann. He gave the Diamondbacks 1 2/3 innings pitched, 0 hits allowed, 0 earned runs, 2 walks, 0 K. Our special boy, John Curtis, gave up a solo home run to Xander Bogaerts to make it a 2-run game. That doesn't make us very happy, but there he is. We're glad to see him. His line, he still gave them an inning pitch, 1 hit, which is that home run, no walks and a strikeout. We still love him. But Jake Woodford, again, couldn't really get much done. He only got a third of an inning in there and 1 hit. And then Kyle Backus gets brought in early. We were kind of glad to see that move made because of Woodford's usage last night, the results from last night, and overall just the way things were looking for him. So Backus was a pleasant surprise, and Backus gets out of the 8th, but then unfortunately gets nicked up, as Torrey would say there in the 9th, Jesse, giving up 3 hits and 2 earned runs, including giving up the lead. He was only able to strike out 1. And, I mean, a lot of these guys outside of Jalen Beeks have been used a lot. So, again, it is what it is. It's unfortunate that it went down the way it was. It's unfortunate that they had to use Backus as much as they did in this game. Had to bring him in there in the 8th instead of letting him come in the 9th. And then Kelly, he gives them 2/3 of an innings pitched. He only allowed 1 hit. So that was nice to see. But overall, the Diamondbacks, the damage was done there by Backus, allowing those runs in the 9th. And the Diamondbacks lose this game 3-2.
Yeah, it was a lot to ask of Kyle Backus too. I mean, he's another guy
so.
that they kind of just had to use today that I'm sure Torrey would have liked to stay away from, or at least would have preferred to not have to bring Backus out for another inning. He threw 2 innings in the game on Monday. That's not something we've really seen him do. So yeah, it was a lot to ask of Backus. It was a lot to ask of Woodford. The whole bullpen is just extremely taxed right now. And this Diamondbacks team has a day off tomorrow, Derek, and that day off is going to be very much needed for this group.
Caesar asks a great question. He says, "Are these guys being set up for failure?" And I mean, that's a great question. And you could even say that in regards to Torrey's decisions, because he doesn't have good options here. He's playing the guys that he has. He's doing what he can. But unfortunately, between the lack of having a 5th starter that can actually give you a full outing as a starting pitcher, and the current state of the bullpen, this is where the Diamondbacks are at. This is the downside to the trades being made that leave your roster so decimated and so shallow. It's a lack of depth.
It also makes me think about what it would look like right now if the Diamondbacks had traded Zac Gallen, as a lot of people expected them to, or even wanted them to. I mean, if Bryce Jarvis slides into that other rotation spot, say what you will about the season that Zac Gallen has had, he's still giving the Diamondbacks about 6 innings every time he goes out there. He did that again in Sacramento the other day. I don't know if you're getting Bryce Jarvis through 6 innings in the majority of his big league starts like you are with Zac Gallen right now. So for as ugly as things look with the bullpen right now, Derek, it would probably be even uglier if the Diamondbacks had gone down that road.
Well, DeSclafani gives you 4 1/3 innings tonight, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. So that's 4 big strikeouts on the Circle K strikeout meter. And don't forget, with every K you win at Circle K, text strike to 31310 to start saving on fuel, food, and drinks after every D-backs home game. Tonight, his performance, Jesse, will get you free any size hot coffee. So that's something I think we can all use after the Diamondbacks had 3 640 starts in a row, and now we all have to get up and live our lives tomorrow in the morning like normal people. So get yourselves a free coffee, and of course, you should get something for watching this game. That's the most that I can tell you. You deserve something for making it to the end of this game, and we love you for being here to watch our show. We appreciate you doing that. Also, from the other bullpen news, things don't get any easier, Jesse, because today before the game, the corresponding move for Kelly, or not really a corresponding move. The corresponding move was that Kyle Nelson got sent down to AAA Reno. But news, part of that news was that Kevin Ginkel has now been transferred to the 60-day IL due to that right shoulder sprain. We did know he was getting a second opinion on that shoulder sprain, so it looks like it will not result in surgery, but it will result in him missing a significant amount of time, probably the rest of the season, and the Diamondbacks once again being down yet another reliever.
It's pretty unreal at this point, Derek. I mean, yeah, Ryan Thompson obviously has been on the IL for a while. Kevin Ginkel already missed quite a bit of time on the IL. Now his season is officially over now. I mean, now that he's on the 60-day IL, he won't be eligible to come back before the end of the season. So the book is closed on that. And then, of course, AJ Puck and Justin Martinez, you're not going to see those guys until the middle of next year. I continue to say, Derek, that while Mike Hazen clearly did not do a good job building out the depth for this bullpen, and that's a really big thing. Injuries are going to happen sometimes, and you want your next man up to at least be able to do an adequate job.
Sure.
D-backs haven't gotten that this year, but at the same time, I mean, on paper, if these guys stay healthy, I still think it had a chance to be a decent group. And there's really, in some ways, no ways to prepare for what that unit has gone through this year from an injury standpoint.
What's interesting to me, Jesse, is the one thing we felt like we really needed, the one thing we would have wanted to see the Diamondbacks go out there and be buyers to acquire would have been a closer. And you look over at what the Padres now have. They have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to high leverage, late inning arms. But then you can also look at the Yankees, and the Yankees have an embarrassment of riches, but theirs has gone the other way. David Bednar finally was able to close the door on a team last night, but with those pieces they have Duvall, they have Devin Williams, they have David Bednar. They have three closers essentially, and this is like what the Diamondbacks wish they had, and things still aren't working out for them with all of that talent. So I do think it's the right combination of pitching, coach, staff, talent, and all that stuff. But I don't necessarily know if going out and getting the biggest names you can get works for a team. But the Diamondbacks, again, they could have used just a little bit more depth than what they had. And it was relying entirely too much on AJ Puck and Justin Martinez to be those high leverage arms at the end of a game. However, again, you don't also expect to lose both of those guys plus half of your bullpen, to season-ending surgery and have that be the reason why your depth gets tested so thoroughly throughout a year. But you're right. Injuries happen to every team, and bad luck also happens to every team as well. Look at, like I said, what's happening with the Yankees. So the Diamondbacks just experience both of those things, both bad luck and injuries, and just some terrible baseball being played at times from this team. But we are going to talk about the numbers from this series and see exactly where the Diamondbacks stand. Do they have little infinity signs next to their name for the division and for the wild card? Find out. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be back in 2 minutes. You're watching the PHNX Diamondbacks show. Well, Game Time is the place for you to go for last-minute tickets, and if you are like me, that is the only time you decide to buy tickets. I would love to say I'm a planner, but then I do plan, and it comes out that I have 3 events on the same day, and I bought tickets for all of them, and I'm a big idiot. So don't be a big idiot, but be a big procrastinator and save up to 60% off by buying tickets last minute through our friends over at Game Time. They have a thing called Game Time Picks, which will make the ticket purchasing process even easier for you. They will find you the best value with the best seat in the house, and they will highlight it for you when you go in so you don't have to look through every available ticket. They also have zone deals, which you just have to pick the area of the arena where you want to sit. Game Time will find you a ticket and you can save even more there. They also offer Game Time ticket coverage, which your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. And they also have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. Damon, what time is it?
Game time.
That's right. Well, it's also summertime, and that means it's terribly hot outside. Today was awful, and the air conditioning broke in my car, and that has nothing to do with our partners over at All Pro Shade Concepts. I wish they could fix my air conditioning, but I know they can fix my outdoor living space. They can help me extend that outdoor living space with a motorized awning that matches my home. They have hundreds of designs and colors to choose from. Plus, they'll ensure that it's HOA compliant so you don't get in trouble with those folks, but they will help you extend that outdoor living space and make things more enjoyable to be outside during this hot summer. They can also extend your patio with roll down shades that keep your patio up to 20 degrees cooler, keep your home up to 20 degrees cooler, as Espo will tell you about his interior roll down patio shades. They also block out 95% of those harmful UV rays. They are licensed, bonded, and insured, and they can fix or replace most old or outdated patio shades and motorized awnings. So give them a call at 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com now to schedule your free estimate. Well, I don't want to do it. I don't like to do it, but this is one of those things that we definitely have to do after this series. We have to take a look at the numbers, Jesse, presented by our friends at Desert Financial, because this one is entirely too close for the Diamondbacks to have lost 2 out of 3. They get outscored by the Padres 15-13. They actually hit more home runs in this series, 5 of them to the Padres 3. Diamondbacks awful. Dog water, as bad as you can be with runners in scoring position. 4 for 29. They went 0 for 13 in game 2, 0 for 4 today. They were 4 for 12 in game 1, and just really bad, Jesse, for a 138 batting average. Meanwhile, the Padres were 9 for 33 for a 273 batting average. Starting pitching ERA, Diamondbacks win this one. They had some good outings. They get a 2.30 ERA from their 3 starters. Meanwhile, the Padres have a 6.58 ERA. Padres got 5 earned runs in their first game, 3 earned runs in game 2 from Yu Darvish, and then 2 earned runs today. And then the relief pitching ERA, the big story there. Padres continue to be excellent, best in Major League Baseball, 1.89 relief pitching ERA in this series, 6.75 from the Diamondbacks. A lot of that comes from yesterday's 7 earned runs in the 11 inning game. And that one was especially bad considering that was tied going into that 11th inning. But yes, Jesse, this one, I think this just illustrates how close this 3-game series truly was. And again, if you want to say the Diamondbacks are a bad baseball team, then it really does feel like a team like the Padres should have beat up on the Snakes much more than they did. But the Diamondbacks had a chance to win in all 3 of these games, quite frankly, and unfortunately couldn't get the job done in 2 of them.
I just continued a trend that we've seen through much of the season where the Diamondbacks just cannot pull out these 50-50 type games. You know, you're up a run or you're down a run in the 7th or 8th inning. Are you able to come through when it matters most? Is your bullpen able to shut the door? Are you able to get those big hits late in games that put you over the top? And this team just hasn't been able to really do that for much of the season. I think they're now 12-21 in 1-run games, if I'm not mistaken.
What's their record when you're on the show? What's their record when you're on the show? That's what I need to know. Not blaming you. Sorry.
Well,
that's a whole other topic.
You continue to invite me on, Derek. So maybe you're the problem. I don't know. But 1-run games have been a bit of a problem, and it just feels like, you know, if they're up a couple runs early or whatnot, it just doesn't mean very much right now, given the way they're hitting in those big situations, and of course the performance of this bullpen too.
Well, after this series loss, let's take a look at how it impacted the drunken orgy of violence we call the NL West. Padres move a little bit closer in their division there. The Padres now 2 games back from the Dodgers in the NL West. The Dodgers currently 66-49. The Padres are 64-51, and they have a 1-game lead now in the wild card. Giants, they won. They are at 58-57. They are still 8 games back in the division and 5 back in the wild card. Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks now sit here at 7 games under 500, 12 back in the division at 54-61, 9 back in the wild card. And then there's the Rockies. And the Rockies just suffered some of the most incredible ass whoopings I've ever seen a team receive over a 3-game series to the Toronto Blue Jays. They allowed 45 runs in those 3 games, Jesse. And they lost 1 game 15-1 and 1 game 20-1. Not good. So it could be worse. We could be the Rockies. I still say that. I know there was a brief moment last week where Damon and this audience started getting insane talking about the Rockies passing us in the standings. We also thought we were never going to win another baseball game ever again. So things were bleak. I
kind of stand by that right now.
Yeah. We do play the Rockies next. So
I'm feeling like a sweep incoming from the Rockies.
Yeah.
As currently constituted.
For sure.
It's a big weekend series. It's huge. I mean, everything is on the line this weekend as the D-backs face the Rockies. So
it really is. It's about pride, Jesse, is really what it's about. It's about pride at this point. Diamondbacks do have a good divisional record still, which is crazy to say. But hey, this is another one of those series that just further confirms that the Diamondbacks postseason hopes are dead, right? I mean, I know that we weren't trying to get excited or get our hopes up, but I did say that it starts with a good performance against the Padres. And even if you want to say they did put up a good fight, they still lost 2 out of 3. They still move farther back in the division and the wild card. And I mean, we've already declared their season over, but if you wanted to have hope, this just further steals that hope away from you.
I think Fangraphs has the D-backs at 0.5% playoff odds now.
Seems generous.
I've actually gotten in trouble on this show before for giving people hope. I've been accused of that multiple times over here, and I don't think that's going to happen today, Derek, because frankly, there isn't much. So
yeah, no, I understand. Understand completely. Well, we're not going to talk about the Diamondbacks on the other side of this break. We're going to talk about other stuff, including MLB's first female umpire making her debut on Saturday, as well as doing a little bit of spying on our exes. And I guess we are going to talk about an unfortunate collision course we are currently on track for, which is a matchup between Zac Gallen and Merrill Kelly. So don't you go anywhere. You're still watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, we don't always like to talk about losses, and I'll tell you, at this time of night, one place I would rather be is Gila River Resorts and Casinos. They offer a wide variety of fun to be had, whether it's a staycation, whether it's hanging out by the pool, getting some adult beverages, or checking out their gaming floor, which features over 4,500 live table games and slots. There's always fun to be had at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, but most importantly, got to check out every thrilling moment at the BetMGM Sportsbook at Gila River Resorts and Casinos with massive screens, delicious food and drinks, and of course, all the sports action you can ask for. It's the ultimate place to watch and win. Place your bets and experience the excitement. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for more details. And also, if you are looking for a checking account, if you are looking for a banking credit union to do your finances, check out Mountain America Credit Union. Everyone needs a checking account, and you can get an account with built-in benefits. Mountain America's My Style checking account has perks just for you. You can enjoy things like restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, and so much more. So do not miss out on everything that My Style has to offer your lifestyle. At Mountain America Credit Union, visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by NCUA, membership is required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost, registration activation, terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. All right. Well, Jesse, again, it is time for Major League Baseball to finally, I guess, come into the 21st century, if you will. The first MLB female umpire will make her debut. Jen Powell. I'm sorry. I'm very bad at bad names. I'm still bad at last names, Jesse. Nothing's changed since you have been on the show. But she'll work the bases in Saturday's doubleheader at Truist Park. She will be behind the plate on Sunday, according to MLB. She is a 48-year-old New Jersey native who has worked spring training games this season and in 2024, and she will become the 5th MLB umpire to debut this year, but the first female umpire in Major League Baseball. And I'm sure baseball fans are going to act totally rationally and classy about it too. There's no chance that this is going to get absolutely ugly. This does come 28 years after the NBA broke the, I guess, gender barrier with their first female referee, 10 years after the NFL hired its first full-time female official, and 3 years after the Men's Soccer World Cup employed a female referee. So it seems pretty overdue for baseball to have a female umpire.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, as you're saying, I'm just sort of fearing the time when she makes a mistake, because frankly, no umpire is ever going to be perfect for long. And you kind of get the feeling that her mistakes are going to attract a little more attention perhaps than maybe they should. So hopefully for her sake, I hope that's not the case, even though I kind of suspect that it will be. But I'm surprised it's taken this long, Derek.
Yes.
It really, 20 years since the NBA doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And it's a long journey to become a big league umpire. So congratulations to her on making it all this way.
Yeah. And not only that, Jesse, but it also comes down to, I don't know. I feel like females in baseball, or like we watch college, women's softball and things like that. Like baseball in the women's world is not something that doesn't exist, right? Like it's very much part of baseball. We have a female manager as part of our female coach as part of the Diamondback system, right? Like there's there, and I mean, if a sport like NFL, that's very, very, I guess, a macho sport, can have a female referee so long before MLB. I mean, this is something that really needed to happen, and it's good to see. But like some of you are saying in the chat, I'm sure that the internet will totally be chill. I'm sure, and it does also come 1 year before ABS has been put into place. So I don't know. There might be a correlation between those two things. But Jesse, speaking of things that have been taking a long time to be discussed, we got to do a little spying on our exes because we have not had a chance to talk about Daulton Varsho and what he's been doing for the Toronto Blue Jays, including lately, where he kind of went on a little bit of a historic run, doing something impressive there with his teammate Bo Bichette, having consecutive 6 RBI games, according to reports. That's the first time that's been done since 1980 for the Toronto Blue Jays. But I also have a weird thing to bring up. I had a hard time finding, even though I saw articles about him having consecutive back-to-back 6 RBI games, actually finding the other 6 RBI game. In game 1 of this series, Jesse went 2 for 5 with a home run with 4 RBI. And then in game 2, he went 3 for 5 with 2 home runs, a double, and 6 RBIs. So despite the fact that there were articles referencing it, I guess I was kind of lost in the sauce about what they were talking about there. But him and Bo Bichette did both have 6 RBIs consecutive, or in the game 2. And then, hey, if you want to complain about Torey Lovullo and his lineup management, after having all of those hits, all of those home runs, and all those RBIs in game 1 and game 2, Daulton Varsho sat in game 3. So there's that. But Varsh, Jesse, despite the fact that he was kind of having some issues getting going there for a period of time, I think he was injured for a stretch. He's really become awesome for a Toronto Blue Jays team that now is starting to go back, and their fan base is basically starting to declare a win on that trade, even though they had discounted it as a loss early on.
Yeah, it remains a very interesting trade to keep track of over time. I know Daulton Varsho has not really put up big offensive numbers since the deal went down. I think at least entering play today, he's at a 94 OPS plus since the Diamondbacks traded him to Toronto. So not great, but he's also such an outstanding defender that he's still on at least over at Baseball Reference, he's on a 4.8 WAR per 162 game pace since the trade went down, which is actually excellent. I mean, 4.8 WAR in 162 games, you'll certainly take that. And of course, on the D-back side, Gabriel Moreno has been very productive when healthy, but he's really had a hard time staying on the field. And Lourdes Gurriel Jr., technically the D-backs only traded for 1 year of him as part of the trade. They went on to kind of separately give him that 3-year, $42 million contract, which doesn't look great right now, despite the outstanding day that Lourdes had yesterday. So, yeah, it's still interesting. And Varsho, despite the fact that he does have some flaws offensively, he's got a lot of power, and he still plays the heck out of the outfield. So he remains one of the more fun players to watch in all of baseball.
Sean brings up Gabby's injury being MLB's fault, by the way, and also just an update on that. Gabby Moreno is back to baseball activity. He did hit in a cage and did not feel any pain. So things are trending in a very positive direction for Moreno's eventual return. He can't return, I think, until August 16th. So I don't know if he's on track to return by August 16th, but hopefully we'll see Gabby back in the lineup before the end of the month. And I'm curious to see how that impacts starting pitching, Jesse, because not to speak ill of one Gabby Moreno, but you got to admit that since the Diamondbacks picked up James McCann, they've been getting some pretty solid, consistent starting pitching performances. And I've just heard it's not like it's been a big focal point, but I've just heard a lot of the starting pitchers bring up McCann, his game calling, and him being behind the plate as a factor in the success they've been having?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've looked at those numbers. I know that was a really big storyline for Zac Gallen when he rattled off back-to-back really good starts earlier in, I think it was July. And we've seen Gallen kind of come back down to earth here his last few times out. But it does still feel like McCann has had a positive impact on the pitching staff. Certainly Ryan Nelson has continued to be very good. Brandon Pfaadt seems to have kind of turned a corner, and he like exclusively throws cutters now, which is great. I love that.
It's wild.
It is. Yeah. Corbin Burns, the moment that he decided to call up Corbin Burns and get his advice, we knew it was headed for him to just like ditch all of his other pitches, because that's basically what Corbin Burns does. So
yes, 100%.
Yeah, that whole narrative.
I think it's a good strategy. But speaking of Zac Gallen, he is now on a collision course, Jesse, with his old pal Merrill Kelly. As it stands, we are currently on track, if nothing changes, for Zac Gallen to face off against Merrill Kelly when the D-backs play the Rangers on August 13th. And that's going to be what feels like a very, very special night to watch baseball between two guys that love to play golf with each other.
Yeah, I once talked to both of them about being golf buddies with each other. That is very much a real thing. They are very, very competitive with each other in that way. And I know Gallen said recently that they only live like 15 minutes apart. I don't think Merrill Kelly has like sold his Arizona house or anything in the past week. So,
he's not going to either.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole other conversation there, of course, is are the Diamondbacks just going to turn around and bring Merrill Kelly back in a few months? I think that's totally possible. But, man, it will be very weird seeing Merrill Kelly in a Texas Rangers jersey. I know it was also, I'm sure, weird for him facing Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor just the other day in Seattle. That was, of course, his first start as a member of the Rangers was against two of his former teammates. So it's got to be a weird time right now if you're Merrill Kelly, but certainly wish him nothing but the best down the stretch.
He didn't go very deep in that game. The Rangers did not hesitate to pull him out, but it was the only game that they won against the Mariners in that series.
He went I think he went 5 2/3 innings, which is fine, but he only threw 69 pitches or something. Like Bruce Bochy had a very fast hook for, I don't really know why. I guess it was a pretty rough inning for him there in the 6th. But clearly Torey Lovello has managed Merrill Kelly differently than it appears Bruce Bochy is going to in Texas.
We knew that was going to happen, but Jesse, we appreciate your time. We thank you for stopping by to talk some ball with us. Do not miss out on following Jesse and Jack over there at Snakes Territory. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you watch this show. You can get Snakes Territory. You can follow Jesse at Jesse and Friedman. Of course, you can follow me at Cap_Caveman with a K. Damon is at Damon Dog with a DAWG at the end. We are all Damon's dogs. Bark, bark.
Bark, bark.
Our show is at PHNX_D-backs, but as always, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Jesse, I know you're in San Diego now, so you were already telling us how terrible the heat was at 78 degrees.
Can't you just see the glow on his skin?
We all hate you for it. I
could just see the San Diego glow on his skin, and it makes me sick.
It does. It makes me. I look forward to you sending me more pictures of your drive home that goes past the beach. But again, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for stopping by, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Unfortunately, we both have to cover the Diamondbacks and do it for the rest of these 2 months. So we'll figure out a way to get through it. But we'll all do it collectively together as a group. So we appreciate you guys stopping by. We will see you tomorrow. We have a 12 p.m. show. Our guy Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue stopping by to give his thoughts on everything the Diamondbacks did, including some of these trades with Seattle. We know he's going to have a lot of hot thoughts about the Seattle trade, Josh Naylor, and he did wish Tyler Locklear hit a few home runs before we have a chance to talk. So at least he has one under his belt, but make sure to join us for that. Until then, have yourselves a wonderful evening. Make sure to behave yourselves. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when your bullpen has the personnel to hold a lead.
We all silly like the mayor.